everybody, I'm Brittany Lewis, a breaking news reporter here at Forbes. Joining me once again is my colleague, Forbes Money and Politics reporter, Kyle Khan-Mullins. Kyle, thanks so much for joining me.
Always great to be here, Brittany. Thanks again.
You have some updated reporting on President Trump's oldest child's fortune. That's Donald Trump Jr. You're reporting just exactly how his net worth has jumped sixfold in a year. So I want to hear the numbers first, and then we'll dive into how exactly you got there. What was he worth a year ago, and what is he worth now?
So on the eve of the election last year, Forbes looked at a couple of Donald Trump's kids, and we estimated their net worth. We looked at Don Jr., we looked at Eric, we looked at Ivanka. We estimated that Don Jr. was worth about $50 million at that point. He had, in addition to his work at the Trump Organization, he had diversified his portfolio a little bit. He had some side ventures that had made him a little bit of extra money. So that was adding to his fortune in a way that it wasn't impacting Eric as much, for example, who was also working at the Trump Organization at the time. But now, Donald Trump Jr. is worth an incredible $300 million, Forbes is estimating. That is 6 times higher than it was just about a year ago. And we're going to talk about why that number has jumped so much. But it's a pretty incredible swing.
And spoiler alert, the same trend we have seen with Eric Trump is that crypto is the main factor in seeing their fortunes really skyrocket here. And you've reported a really interesting and I think telling thing that Don Jr. said at an event. He was sitting next to his brother, Eric Trump, and he said that crypto is, quote, a huge part of everything that we do right now. And it's certainly a huge part of why his net worth jumped, that's for sure. So talk to us about it. You describe in the story that the Trump family has this crypto cash cow, World Liberty Financial. Talk to us about that first.
So World Liberty Financial, this is this Trump family crypto company. It was launched before the election last year, and it really took off after the election. It has sold over $1 billion of its crypto tokens. Plus, it has a couple other ventures, like a stable coin that is attached to it as well. So me and my colleague, Dan Alexander, we sifted through everything. Dan deserves a lot of credit here for the heavy lifting. And we estimate that as of the most recent financial disclosures, top line figures, Donald Trump controls 70% of the family's stake in the company. We then assume that the remaining 30% is split between the other 3 Trump family members that are listed as co-founders. That's Eric Trump, Barron Trump, and the man we're talking about, Donald Trump Jr. Forbes estimates that Don Jr. would have received about $80 million in cash after taxes from the sale of all of those coins. Plus, he would have gotten about $36 million worth of his own tokens and about $19 million worth of a stake in the stablecoin business, that's USD1. I should note, he's got like a lot of those tokens. If you have a 10% stake in the Trump family's, stash of those World Liberty tokens, that's still over 2 billion of them. And so at their current trading price, you would think that they'd be worth a lot more. They're actually not. And the reason why we heavily discount that value of those is because the Trump family can't actually sell those tokens right now. So if you can't sell something, it's not worth very much. You might be able to borrow against it. That's why we're giving it a little bit of value, but that's about it. So overall, World Liberty has probably been the biggest boost for Donald Trump Jr.'s fortune in the last year or so.
And you also looked into Eric Trump's fortune, and from the eve of election night 2024 until right now, December 2025, his net worth climbed by 10 times. He's now worth $400 million. And Forbes says that his largest asset is his stake in American Bitcoin. You're reporting that Don Jr. could potentially also have a large stake in American Bitcoin. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it's possible Don Jr. has a large stake. We don't actually know for sure. So Eric's stake is listed in securities filings. We know exactly how many shares of this publicly traded crypto mining company called American Bitcoin that he owns. Don Jr. is listed as an investor, but we don't know his exact stake. It's likely pretty small. We're thinking between 1% and 5% of the company. And if it's on the higher end of that range, the stake would be his largest asset, his single largest asset. If it's not, then it might be smaller than some of his other holdings. And he actually probably might be a little bit less wealthy than that 300 million top line figure that we're estimating. But we looked at some of the other investors and their stakes, and we feel pretty comfortable giving him a mid-range figure here that puts him at the $300 million number.
And Don Jr., it seems, based on your reporting, has his hands also in a lot of non-crypto businesses as well. They seem to be pretty wide-ranging. What are they, and how much money is he making from these other ventures?
Yeah, I kind of walk through these in a sort of rapid-fire way in my piece. So he's got the most valuable chunk. He's got a special purpose shell company called New America Acquisition Corp. It's a SPAC. It's looking to, find a company to buy, merge with, and bring and go public via a SPAC merger. That he has 2 million shares in that company, and they're now worth about $20 million total. That's overnight. That just happened last week. Additionally, he's got another $10 million tied up in shares of a whole bunch of these companies that he's sitting on the board for. He's on the corporate board, or he's on an advisory board, or he's paying some other arrangement with them. And these are all sort of politically plugged in companies. So I'm just going to run through them quickly. We've got Dominary Holdings. That's a financial firm with offices in Trump Tower. We've got Public Square. That's an anti-woke, sort of anti-Amazon online marketplace. We've got Grab-A-Gun, which is an online firearms retailer. That is my favorite one because its ticker symbol is PEW, P-E-W. We have Unusual Machines. It's a drone manufacturer that just, I believe, has a contract with Pentagon now. And we have his stake in Trump Media and Technology Group. That's True Social's parent company. And they've also, by the way, taken a turn toward crypto. So you put all of that together, and you get about $10 million in addition to those SPAC shares that I was talking about.
We also obviously cannot forget about the Trump Organization. He serves still as an executive vice president there. What does his salary look like? How much is he raking in?
So similar to his brother, we're estimating at over $3 million for his salary. That's actually where Don Jr. made most of his initial cash from over 2 decades at the Trump Organization, as working his way up, and then eventually as an executive vice president. If you look at our valuation from just last year, when he was worth about $50 million in November, most of his net worth was coming from his work at the Trump Organization. He had a couple small things every here and there, but most of it was that.
And then what about the Trump real estate licensing business? How much is he making from that?
So we're estimating that Don Jr. raked in about $3.2 million in 2024 from those new licensing deals that were announced. We can estimate that number from Donald Trump's financial disclosure, and we know that the brothers have a bit of a stake in those deals as well. So those were deals in the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Vietnam. Now, there have been a whole bunch of those deals in 2025. India, Qatar, Romania, the Maldives, Saudi Arabia again. So those are all going to add to that total, but we don't know exactly how much yet, so we're waiting to see. But we do know that Donald Trump Jr.'s share, he now appears to own an actual share in the sort of real estate licensing business. So we're giving him a share of that as a business as well. We're estimating that's worth about $34 million.
And we know that the Trumps have had a footprint in New York City. They've also had a footprint in Florida. What does his real estate portfolio look like? How broad is that?
You summed it up pretty well. He's got a big apartment, 3-unit combined co-op in New York City. It's just a block from the East River. And then he's also got a big home in Jupiter, Florida. You may recall the Trump family decamped from New York to Florida following the 2020 election, or actually it might have been ahead of it. Anyway, those two properties together are now worth a combined $12 million, we estimate. He also owns some property in upstate New York. He likes to hunt, and he owns a property that appears to be connected to that.
President Trump has had a complete 180 on crypto within the past really couple of years. At first, he said something to the effect of he didn't really believe in it. It seemed like a scam. Then he said he is going to be the first crypto president. And Don Jr. and Eric Trump have said things to the effect of that they are all in on crypto. And that's really reflective on their fortunes, right? They can attribute so much of this skyrocketing in their fortunes to crypto. But as we know, crypto is extremely volatile. Is the Trump family still as bullish on the industry heading into 2026?
From everything we can tell, absolutely. So it's really easy to do a flip-flop on crypto and and embrace it once it's making you millions of dollars. And frankly, this shows no signs of slowing down. They ended up in the industry. Don Jr. will talk about this. They ended up in the industry sort of out of necessity, they say. They were dropped from a bunch of major financial institutions after Donald Trump left office the first time, after January 6th, that kind of thing. So I found a quote from a recent talk that he gave. He said, we were pushed there into crypto because the conventional options were literally rugged from underneath us. But once we commit to something, we go all in. That seems to be the Trump mindset toward crypto right now. And like I said, it shows no signs of slowing down.
And especially if you're making a lot of money from it, right? You're reporting Don Jr. has, his fortune has jumped 6-fold. Eric Trump has seen his fortune expand by 10 times. I mean, if you're making that much money from something, you might as well be all in. But Kyle, thank you so much for your reporting. I appreciate it, and I hope to talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Brittany.